Yo, let's talk about t-shirt trends for 2024.
Big Safe.
Fat Man Scoop, Brooklyn Clan. What's up, y'all? This is Fat Man Scoop. And right now, you watching the sensei, the number one, the king, my dude, Big Brandoh. He taught me, personally, me, Fat Man Scoop. All you gotta do is keep your mouth closed and your ears open. Listen to the man talk. That's knowledge personified right there. And I wouldn't trust nobody else but my dude, Big Brandoh. And I said it. Fat Man Scoop, Big Brandoh. Let's go.
What's happening, everybody? Boy Big Brandoh, and today let's talk about what I foresee going on in 2024. Now, let me start this video off by saying I don't know everything. This is just my observation and how I feel things are going and how I think the market is shifting and how I'm gonna adapt to the market shift. Now, first, let me start off by saying that 2023 was a solid year for t-shirt sales. We had the boom of DTF. We had the phase out and rebrand of All Style to American Apparel, to no more 1701s and only finding the 1301s. We had the surge of the oversized t-shirts with the pigment dyed washes. We've seen a lot of tonal prints, meaning black t-shirt with black print, lavender t-shirt with purple print. You get what I'm saying. But the big boom was DTF full color prints. Everybody you know owns a DTF printer now. People offering gang sheets, gang rolls. If you own a heat press, chances are you've seen DTF ads, content creators making content around DTF. We've seen it all. Now, with all that being said, my highest selling t-shirt designs for 2023 were single color. I released a ton of multicolor designs, but this year, single color designs made the biggest impact. That's where I seen the most profit. That's where I seen the most engagement. And those were my highest trending designs. Black t-shirt, white print, black t-shirt, yellow print, white t-shirt, black print, and some of my tonal stuff. But once again, it was just single color prints. Now, this is just my observation. This was my experience this year, but my guess is since everybody had the opportunity to offer multicolor stuff, everybody went crazy with the colors. What I like to do is I like to stick with the classics. Black t-shirt with white print will always be classic to me. I've always offered that. I've always been profitable in that space. That never goes out of style. Now, with the big boom of DTF and the multicolor stuff, everybody was offering multicolor designs. And I feel like the customers wanted something a little bit toned down. They wanted to go back to the classics, and they kind of shied away from the multicolor stuff. Now, this is just my experience. Some of you guys out there might be doing multicolor stuff and making a killing on it. I'm just speaking from my own experience. Now, I'm very curious to see what the Impressions Expo is gonna look like this January coming up in 2024, because for the last 2 years, it's been nothing but earth tones, pigment dyed washes, oversized and vintage washes, and lots of new shades and colorways of various colors. Now, like I said, I like to watch the trends. I'm not fashion forward, I'm not a trendsetter, I'm not a tastemaker, but I do pay attention to a lot of that stuff. Because if you remember, 5 years ago, Impressions Expo was filled with a lot of fitted t-shirts, long t-shirts for men that had like scallops on the bottom, or they were cut kind of funny, they had like long tails, because that's what the trend was at the time. And obviously that faded out. Then that more oversized boxy look started to get popular. You can accredit a lot of that stuff to Yeezy and what Fear of God was doing with Essentials. Just that oversized earth tone color stuff looked like. But as you know, the market trend fluctuated. Now Essentials isn't what it was a few years ago. And what I've noticed is a lot of the consumers aren't buying the big name brands anymore. What I've noticed is a lot of the consumers now are buying from independent brands, up and coming brands. And the reason being is because when you start making the exclusive stuff accessible to everybody, it's no longer exclusive. It's no longer cool to have. It's always been like that. When it comes to sneakers, when it comes to streetwear, it's always been like that. Shoes had a different meaning and they were a lot cooler when they were harder to get. For example, in the early 2000s when Air Force Ones made that big boom, and it was hard to find Air Force Ones. And it was cool just to have a white pair, but then you had a lot of cool things dropping also. Then you started seeing stuff like the West Indies Air Force Ones or the Puerto Rico Air Force Ones. And then you notice that your normal Foot Locker where you always buy your shoes doesn't have these. And only certain boutiques will have them, or only certain retail locations would have them. So if you were able to get your hands on a pair of those, it was a big deal because not a lot of people had them. The internet wasn't what it is today, so shoes weren't accessible. Maybe a shoe that only released in New York, like the OG Pigeon SBs. You had to know somebody in New York to get you a pair. People out here in Los Angeles had a hard time getting them, but if you had them, you was doing it. But once shoes got really, really accessible and anybody could get their hands on shoes, If you had the money, or if you just knew somebody and you had them and everybody had them, those shoes were no longer cool. I remember in the early 2000s, and this might be dating myself, but they dropped the dirty Air Force 2s. You could sit there and Google it right now to figure out what I'm talking about if you don't know what those are. But that colorway was perfect for the Mitchell & S Atlanta Hawks jersey. So if you had the Spud Webb jersey with the dirty Air Force 2s, you was doing it. Nowadays, I'm noticing that a lot of people don't really dress to dress anymore. A lot of people just want name brand stuff. Doesn't matter if it matches, doesn't matter if it goes together, doesn't matter if it even fits their body well. They spent a few $100s or a few $1,000s on a piece and they just want to wear it. Doesn't matter if they look goofy or not. So nowadays with the big streetwear brands like Supreme, you got any old weirdo out here with a bot that can buy Supreme and they're fully draped down in Supreme and they look corny in it because they don't know how to dress. So the dudes that been wearing Supreme, that actually appreciate the pieces, that know how to dress, they don't want to wear the same stuff as the weirdo dude that has some money that's buying that stuff that looks corny wearing it. They don't want to be associated with that. So what they do is now they're looking for independent brands that have cool quality stuff that nobody else has. It's always been like that, being able to dress in something that nobody else has. When I was collecting sneakers, that's what it was. Is let me find the hardest pair of sneakers to find so I could bust somebody's ass and be like, man, I know you don't got these. That same mentality is true till this day. And like I said, I'm no longer in that space. I'm not a trendsetter. I'm not a fashion forward dude. I'm blank t-shirts, Levi 501s, and a fresh pair of sneakers. I keep it classic. I keep it old school. So in no way am I trying to pretend that I'm some high fashion streetwear clothing guru or anything like that. I'm far from that, but I just pay attention to the consumer shopping habits, to what's popular and what's the new wave now. And to me, that's where I started to see a lot of people now aren't selling out Supreme every single drop no more. People are more interested in buying with smaller independent brands that people don't know about, and that's where you get the gatekeeping now. So now you see somebody with a dope piece and they're gonna be like, nah, I got this from this spot, and they don't even share the information because they don't want everybody jumping onto their wave. That's just how it is. But that's a big bonus and a plus for us, the independent clothing brand owners, the up and comers. If we're providing dope designs on quality t-shirts and making quality pieces and using quality stuff, we have a fighting chance in being seen, being heard. Now we're not so overshadowed by the big brands because a lot of the tastemakers aren't shopping with the big brands. Now you have a bunch of these younger tryhards that want to look cool and want to be cool, so now they're jumping on to the old wave of what Supreme used to be. And I'm not even talking down on Supreme because I still buy Supreme accessories. That's why I see what sells out and what doesn't. When they just recently dropped the box logos still sell out. Hands down, that's always gonna be a classic. But I remember the days of going on the Supreme app or the Supreme site and seeing everything sold out. Now you could jump on and pick up a fitted hat or a 5-panel camper hat. Or you could jump on and buy a pair of boxers or a backpack. That kind of stuff doesn't sell out as fast anymore. And I hate to say it, but it was just the weirdos that made that brand not cool anymore. Because like I said, the real tastemakers don't wanna be wearing the same stuff as the weirdos that are trying to be them. You know what I mean? But once again, this is just my observation. So the way I see things moving in 2024 is a lot of the independent brands are going to blow up as long as you can provide good quality designs on good quality blanks and be original in your thought process when you're creating this stuff. That's what I think people are looking for. Pieces they've never seen before, colorways they've never seen before. This is where we, the independent small brands, are going to start to flourish. And I see that happen in 2024. The trend that I'm seeing is a lot of this stuff is single color prints, single color designs. Front hits and back prints, clean front hits only. Details matter. This is the stuff that I see happening in 2024. Am I a fortune teller? Do I know all of this for sure? No, this is just through my observation on how I see the market switching and what the wave looks like now. The classics will always be classics. Black t-shirt, white print, never goes out of style. Doesn't matter what the trend is at the moment, people will always go back to the simple classic stuff. That's why you see brands like Undefeated always offer black t-shirts with white prints. Their logo tees are in almost every single capsule that they drop because they know there's people that have these pieces that maybe they wore them and washed them a million times and now they're faded. They need to re-up and replenish that stock in their own wardrobe. So they offer all the crazy color stuff or whatever the color palette is, but they make sure that they always do black with the white print, olive green t-shirt with the black print, and they stick to the classics always because you can't lose. As long as we pay attention to what these other brands are doing and we see how things are working, we could make it work on a smaller scale for us. That's what I do all the time. Like I said, this year, 2023, my biggest selling t-shirts were all single color prints. So coming up in 2024, I'm going back to that. I got caught up in the same exact thing like everybody else doing multicolor because it's now accessible to us with heat presses to do multicolor. But I have to pay attention to my clientele. I have to pay attention to my customers, what they're buying. I need to feed them what they're actually buying. We as creators always want to reinvent the wheel every single time, and it's not needed. The proof is there, the evidence is there. What people are buying, you feed them what they're actually buying. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going back to the basics. Single color prints. I'll still offer some multicolor stuff here and there, but I'm fully focused on more of the single color work, really utilizing the positive and negative on the t-shirt so that way it'll look like a 2-color print when it's only a 1-color print. Some of the blanks that I'm going to be using going into the new year is the Shaka Wear active t-shirts is something that's going to be a staple that I'm going to be using. Some of my brands I'm still going to be using. AS Color, the classic t-shirt, is a classic to me. As far as hoodies go, I'm going to be using the AS Color Relax hoodies. Some of my brands will be using the heavyweight Shaka hoodies. You got to remember, my clientele is going to be different from yours. I have clients that like the big heavyweight hoodies, so I'm using the Shaka ones for that. I also have clients that don't like that feeling, so I make sure for that brand, I don't use anything heavyweight. I use something a little bit softer with a good fit, which is the AS Color Relax. I'm also going to be going to the Impressions Expo and seeing what else is out there. I'm also going to be looking for more outerwear pieces, different style jackets, different style coats, things that I could decorate on, whether it's sewing patches on, whether it's straight embroidery, just like this, or things that I could press transfers on. I always feel as we grow, as our business scales up, we as the business owner have to adapt. The way I manage to adapt every single year is paying attention to the trends, paying attention to what sells good for me, and really paying attention to my core audience. Knowing what my audience wears, knowing what my audience is looking for, and paying attention to the customer's buying habits. So I just wanted to share some of my thoughts on what I feel like 2024 is going to be like. This is kind of the path that I'm going to be going on. I might not stick to it 1000%. Like let's say through May or June, I start to see that nobody's buying what I'm putting out, then I'll switch things up. But going into the new year, this is basically my thought process. This is how I think about what am I going to create? What am I going to release? How am I going to make some money? Pay attention to the trends that happen this year, what's going to spill into next year, and then what's the next thing going to happen. And when you go to the Impressions Expo, that's when you're going to see it. And for those that don't know what the Impressions Expo, that's a big trade show. And this trade show is made for the garment decorator. It's made for somebody like you. If you're watching this video, it's because you basically run a brand, you run a business, you make t-shirts, you decorate on garments. Doesn't matter if you're screen printing, using transfers, embroidering, sublimation, DTG, whatever your method of decorating is, everything you need to know is under one roof. From blank apparel, and I'm not just talking t-shirts, I'm talking t-shirts, hoodies, jogger sweatsuits, Letterman jackets, baseball jackets like this, hats, beanies, fitted hats, snapbacks, 5-panel campers, socks, bags, duffel bags. And on top of that, you have transfer companies, DTF companies, DTF printer companies, DTG printer companies, sublimation printers, big ass sublimation printers, small ones for the home, small DTF printers, screen print setups for single color and for 18 color automated machines. You'll see them there. Everything that has to do with decorating on apparel is here under the Long Beach Convention Center roof. Every year it comes to Long Beach, California in January. So if you don't know what it is, Google Impressions Expo Long Beach, sign up. Usually free registration happens earlier in the year, but if you pay attention to some of your favorite transfer companies or blank t-shirt companies, a lot of times they'll have discount codes for free entry still. You just sign up under their discount code. But if you haven't been, I highly suggest you go. I'll be there cruising around, doing my research just like you. What I'm gonna be looking for is different style outerwear, meaning rain jackets, anorak jackets, jackets with lining, jackets without lining. I'm gonna be looking for mesh shorts, like basketball shorts, and not the standard, just regular single color stuff with the lining in it. I'm looking for somebody that can actually do like some custom stuff. This is a good place to find manufacturers that do cut and sew. I already have a pattern I want to use. I'm just looking for a manufacturer to actually create the stuff for me. And I'm also going to be looking for a sticker machine. something where I could print my own stickers. So I'll be looking into the big printer plotter cutters so I could start printing my own stickers for myself instead of outsourcing them. There's nothing wrong with outsourcing stuff, but most of the stickers I do, I give them away for free, or I'm using them to slap up. If you follow me on Instagram, you see that my stickers are slapped up everywhere. That's what it's used for. So since there's no real ROI when I'm ordering stickers and I order them by the thousands, makes sense just to create my own. So I'll be looking into some of that stuff. So if you do sign up, I'll see you at the Impressions Expo. And if you're not from Southern California or you're not coming into California for the show, this show travels all around the country. I know Atlantic City has one. I think Texas has one. There's also another show that comes up called Printing United or Printers United or something like that, which is kind of similar to it. And the Graphics Expo is also another show that travels around too. That's something similar, a little bit different, but kind of similar. Hopefully this video helps somebody out there. I wish everybody a profitable 2024. Get that money, man. Follow me on Instagram, Big Brandoh TV. Catch you guys on the next one, man. Yeah.